What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Okay, so today's video has to do with another Mexican scientist who created the Alcubierre Warp Drive. And this is basically a hypothesis that he created that does not violate the laws of physics. It does not violate general relativity. And it talks about faster than light travel. He mentions dark energy, which we still don't know if it exists. When I first heard about Miguel Alcubierre, I thought that if I reached out to him, he would be excited or happy to talk about this. But to my surprise, he's not. In fact, I think that based on what I saw, he can easily be placed in the same category as, for example, Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye, the science guy. All of these skeptical scientists who are tied to the materialistic paradigm. That's how Dr. Miguel Alcubierre is regarded by me now. And I get it. There's a lot of crazy people in ufology. I get that he probably has been bombarded with messages from people who have no idea what they're talking about. But this smug type of attitude towards people who are just curious about ideas, I don't think that's a good look. And I also don't think that Dr. Alcubierre has been following the topic for a while because he's very dead set on his ideas. I'm going to read to you a message that he constantly reposts because he just doesn't want to be bothered. He's the director at the nuclear faculty at UNAM University in Mexico City. And he's one of the most prominent scientists in the country. I just got to say that I feel really disappointed that he hasn't been following the topic and the clear advancements that have been taking place since he created the Alcubierre Warp Drive hypothesis. So I'm going to read to you the message that he has pinned on his Facebook account so you can see where he stands within ufology and all of these ideas. And so you can also see how outdated he is when it comes to this topic, because there's a lot of things that have happened since 2017, and he clearly just doesn't care. So I don't think I'll be having him on the show anytime soon. I hope that he sees reason and he understands that his work has been the basis of a lot of people's work ever since it came out, and very respected people from the scientific community. So, but I'm gonna read to you. It goes like this. Dr. Miguel Alcubierre says, why don't I reply to messages from people who tell me about their quote unquote new theories about the universe or quote unquote revolutionary ideas? There are several reasons why I don't reply to these kinds of messages. First, I don't have the time to do so. I receive these kinds of messages from different people 4 or 5 times a day through different means. Sometimes it's about 20 in a single weekend. On the other hand, that's not how science works. New scientific ideas are not sent to well-known scientists by mail, but are sent to specialized scientific journals for review by referees who remain anonymous and eventual publication if they are considered interesting, original, and above all, well-founded. Furthermore, modern physics is very complex and is a result of several centuries of work by tens of thousands of scientists. To be able to understand modern physics, it takes about 10 years of study, from a university degree to a doctorate. It also requires in-depth knowledge of advanced mathematics, such as differential and integral calculus, differential equations, linear algebra, group theory, analytical geometry, differential geometry, etc. And it also requires a detailed understanding of current physics, from a classical and analytical mechanics, electrodynamics, thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, quantum field theory, statistical mechanics, and general relativity. Well, I am sure that those who send these messages do so in good faith. It is really impossible today for anyone who does not know mathematics and modern physics in detail to make any significant contribution. Physics is not simply a collection of spoken explanations, analogies, or pretty diagrams. And having attended lectures or having read popular books is not even remotely sufficient to really understand it. Physics requires increasingly sophisticated mathematics in order to not only explain but to predict in detail, numerical, the results of experiments or observations. As I always tell my students, physics is not duh. It is first and foremost mathematics. I am often told I have this idea to revolutionize physics, but I don't know the mathematics. Sorry, if you don't understand the mathematics, then you don't really understand physics. And it is not possible to revolutionize, quote unquote, physics if you do not understand current physics in detail, including the mathematics. Does your new theory of gravity predict the numerical value of the deflection of light by the sun? Does it predict the 40 arcsecond per century advance in perihelion of Mercury's orbit? General relativity does, with high numerical precision. Newtonian gravitation predicts the motion of space probes for decades and their approach to planets and moons with an accuracy of a few kilometers or better when they reach them. Quantum electrodynamics can predict magnetic movement of an elementary particle, such as the electron, with an accuracy of 10 decimal places that has been confirmed in the laboratory. General relativity and cosmology predict the statistical properties of fluctuations in the cosmic background radiation with an accuracy of more than 6 decimal places. It is for all these reasons that if someone who is not an expert sends me a message asking me to review his new ideas about the universe that are going to revolutionize physics, I do not answer the message. I'm sorry. So he's also been spotted saying that he doesn't believe in UFOs. He thinks that life in the universe is other intelligent life in the universe is definitely possible, more than likely probable. But when I saw that he reposted this message, I just told him that I felt it was a shame that he wasn't paying attention to many prominent scientists who have been quoting his work and relating it to ufology. And I made a terrible mistake when I did that because people who are like his fans obviously came at me and just proceeded to insult me and insult a lot of the people that I do respect in the field, like Dr. Jacques Vallée or Dr. Hal Puthoff. And that only tells me that the people that follow and are fans of Dr. Alcubierre live inside a vacuum and they don't care or they don't think that talking about this is worth their time, their precious time. So, what am I going to do about this? Well, as you guys know, I've been talking to Missileman, who is a rocket scientist with a clearance for the United States government. We don't know his name because he's protecting that clearance, but he knows about this type of science and physics and mathematics. So I wanted to ask him, what does he think about Dr. Alcubierre's work? And what does he think about this reaction to people who approach him in good faith and telling him about their theories? And this is what Missileman said right here.
Alcubierre's work was really transformative in the FTL physics space because it was the first time that an academic had delivered a degree of rigor to the subject of breakthrough physics propulsion, and it allowed for an entire generation of applied physicists to actually deploy their professional training in developing models for how to warp space-time within the accepted confines of general relativity. So originally he was operating without the weak energy condition. Now we have lots of iterations of Alcubierre that do not necessarily require the weak energy condition by virtue of work of Dr. Sonny White and Dr. Travis Taylor and numerous others that have now contributed to this space. So now we're looking at like the possibility, as Karl Nell mentioned, of using negative energy density from the vacuum by virtue of maybe polarizing the vacuum or doing funny things to it such that it contributes and gives you this kind of thing. We're looking at the potential for like polariton condensates in condensed matter theory, giving you a quote unquote effective negative mass. I mean, it really just opened the door for lots of new ways of thinking about this problem that weren't being taken seriously by mainstream PhDs, which is unfortunate and ironic that he doesn't want anything to do with the legacy of that work, because I think he should be very proud of it. It was incredibly important and powerful, and I think was the grandfather of taking all of this seriously. Efforts like Galileo Project and other things, Dr. Kevin Knuth's work and Dr. Matthew Sadagas and all these owe a debt of gratitude to that early work that added credibility to this with a significant degree of mathematical and physics rigor.
So it is really disappointing, to say the least, that given everything that's happening right now, you guys have been hearing me talk ad nauseum about the Ecosystemic Futures podcast with Dr. Ana Brady Estevez and Dr. Richard Banderick and Dr. Hal Puthoff, where people talk about faster than light communication, faster than light travel, time-space manipulation, very matter-of-factly, and people who are currently working at NASA right now. So are those people also cooks? Are those people also not equipped to talk to you about physics and mathematics, Dr. Alcubierre? I don't think so. And I think that it's profoundly disrespectful of you to make assumptions about something that you haven't even been following or paying attention to. So I am extending an invitation for you to make a reconnection to this world that has been making advancements and using your work to make breakthroughs in physics and in edge science. Your work. So I just want to know, why are you ignoring this, and why is this gut reaction from you so massive? Why do you get angry when people ask you about this? I know that you have a lot on your plate, but in my opinion, the work you did in the 90s is going to become the basis for the new paradigm, in my opinion. And it doesn't violate the laws of general relativity, as you well put it in your work. This is where the scientific materialistic paradigm, I keep saying that it's going to have the biggest ontological shock when a lot of this stuff is officially approved and officially acknowledged by governments all around the world. And just as Dr. Jacobo Greenberg did his breakthrough in consciousness studies, you did a breakthrough in propulsion, and both of you are Mexican. I am profoundly proud of that because I am Mexican, but I am really disappointed at this reaction, not just from you, but also from your followers who seem to think that they know everything about science and physics and the world. They don't. What they have been doing is ignoring a phenomenon that is very real. Notice that I have not mentioned a single thing about extraterrestrials, just talking about a phenomenon that we still don't understand, but people with credentials in high places, from science, from the military, from politics, all around the world, acknowledge this phenomenon as real. We even have President Barack Obama saying that UFOs are real. So why this denial? I don't get it. And then there is this little piece of video and a statement from Colonel Karl Nell, who talks about you, mentions you, and acknowledges that your warp drive works.
Lou said and Ross alluded, progress on this topic would not be possible without the support and grassroots efforts of the folks that are participating in this chat and the folks that are in your guys' orbit. And so what actually is this topic, right? And Ross and Lou also have alluded to this. Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity on this planet. This interaction is ongoing and it's not new. And there is zero doubt. But you already knew that. So how do we go about convincing other people that this is the case? Particularly people that aren't necessarily privy to all the information that some of us may otherwise be. And so there's three principal lines of effort, three principal sources of data. There's essentially the first principles argument, which basically says, counter to common belief, that life is common in the universe. How do we know life should be common in the universe? There's 20 billion sun-like stars in the universe. The sun is a population 1 star. There are planets like this, there's stars like the sun that are 5 billion years older than the sun. That's plenty of time for other civilizations to evolve on these other planets. There is recent scholarship that says that life evolved on Earth in the Hadean era. The Hadean era was before the crust even cooled. There's recent scholarship that says that microbes have been found in terrestrial rock that have dated to 2 billion years ago, essentially in stasis. So life evolved here very quickly. There are many, many planets like the sun, and there are many, many planets that are much older than the sun. People that would argue that life is uncommon have to justify that proposition more than anyone would have to justify the fact that life evolves very quickly. The second point is faster than light travel. Everybody says faster than light travel is not possible. This is false. Miguel Alcubierre, a postgraduate student at the University of Mexico in 1994, solved Einstein's equations for an effective faster than light mechanism. NASA has investigated this. Everyone accepts his solution as valid. His solution requires negative energy. In 1960, quantum physics demonstrated or predicted the reality of negative energy. In the 90s, the Casimir effect was demonstrated in the laboratory. The Casimir effect demonstrates negative energy. The expansion of the universe, which is caused by dark energy, is negative energy. So we have a solution to Einstein's equations that allow effective faster than light travel. We've got the existence of negative energy proven. This isn't an engineering solution. This isn't a means where we can go and do this, but theoretically it's possible. And this is not argued by modern scholarship. So from a first principles, life is more than likely common, and we know that Einstein's equations support effective faster than light travel. That's the first principles argument. The second is the testimonial. Perhaps there are people out there that may know more than some of us might know, including people that have been in the intelligence community, such as myself. So we can look at several presidents, Barack Obama, President Trump. They both said UAP are real. We can look at, as was mentioned earlier, Chris Mellon, Dave Grush, Lou Elizondo have said non-human intelligence is real. We can look at Lord of the Fleet, Lord Hill Norton, a chief of the defense staff in the United Kingdom in past years, have said UFOs are real. We can look at the first Earl Mountbatten of Burma in the United Kingdom again, that have said UFOs are real. We can look at the chief of the Canadian Defense Ministry, Paul Hellyer, who have said non-human intelligence is real. We can look at Haim Eshed, who is the Israelis' father of their space program, who has said non-human intelligence is real. All these people and more would be in a position to know. Then we can look at the evidence, the data. You've seen the videos, the floor video, the gimbal, the go fast. A lot of people probably don't know Gordon Cooper, one of America's 7 Mercury astronauts, chased UFOs over West Germany in 1951. He testified to that fact before the United Nations in 1978, analogous to the David Fravor Tic Tac incident. We can look at the UFO incursions over the northern tier ballistic missile early warning sites in the 70s, and the document supported and testimony supported readiness status change of our ICBMs in the 60s at Malmstrom Air Force Base, where many missiles were taken offline by a UFO. The analogous thing happened in the Soviet Union contemporaneously. In their case, the missiles were brought online. There's an agreement between the United States and, at the time, the Soviet Union, intending to reduce the threat of nuclear war, that talks about each party notifying the other if UFOs are impinging on their warfighting systems, because this was recognized as a fact. There's documentary evidence, the Twining memo from 1947. General Nathan Twining, future Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, wrote a memorandum that said the UFOs are most likely extraterrestrial. There's official Australian documents declassified on the National Archives of Australia from 1971 from their defense attaché that made a formal assessment of the United States' interest in UFOs, the reality of that, and the fact that the US was investigating anti-gravity programs in concert with looking into UFOs, a conclusion that would make no sense unless the reality of this topic was demonstrated. So some people say, well, if this is real, why don't they fly over the White House or something? Well, in 1952, UFOs flew over Washington, D.C. over 2 weekends. There were radar visual sightings, there were air-to-air intercepts, and it created the largest press conference since World War II up to that time. People say, well, why don't they just land during the middle of the day? Well, that happened in 1994 at the Ariel School in Rura, Zimbabwe, where UFOs presented themselves with beings and occupants on the ground, witnessed by numerous children. The exact same incident happened in 1966 in West Hall, Australia. The people that witnessed those events are still alive, and they continue to state the assertion of that being a factual occurrence. So these things taken together, along with much other evidence, suggest that this is absolutely true. And I'm speaking to you today to tell you that there is zero doubt this is absolutely true. I know this personally. So the way to solve this problem is to motivate the grassroots. Political activism is the solution to restoring proper oversight, developing a process for responsible disclosure, and advancing society through the efforts of that process. So I salute you for your participation in this event. Again, I thank New Paradigm Institute. I'm humbled to be able to address you and participate with you in this historic occasion, and I wish you the best. God bless.
So is Karl Nell also crazy? Or do his credentials not work for you enough? There's so much more that I can say, but I'm just doing this video to tell you we could use your expertise, because this is a theory that you came up with, and just denying it and slamming the door on people's faces like that is unbecoming. And I think that you should reconsider, because I do really feel that we are on the verge of some breakthrough, if it hasn't happened already, where your work is going to be at the very center of. So please reconsider. Let me know what you think about this reaction from Dr. Miguel Alcubierre on his Facebook page. I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can check it out. It's in Spanish, but I did translate it. You heard what he said. What do you guys think? Why do you think there's this reaction from a scientist who clearly had played a key role in a discovery that is still taking place right now? It hasn't ended. We're not in the final word yet of what impact this will have. But it's really funny. Like, two of the biggest and most important discoveries of edge science that was considered unexplained for so long came from two Mexican scientists. How about that? Let me know what you think. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to please like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can get notified when a new video drops. If you want to support the channel in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description. Take your pick. You can also become a member on our YouTube members channel. And you can also support us on the KGRA website, where all the interviews that I've done on this channel are there. Thank you for your support, as always. That's it for me today, guys. I'm going to leave you until the next one. But remember, unlike some materialistic scientists, you need to stay curious. Always. Bye.